All right, guys, I am just checking audio here. It's not 1 a.m., it's 7 p.m. Look at there, baby stepping. All right. Yes, I see it. So I want to ask you a question. Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? As someone that had every single reason to be happy, I found myself in despair and in not feeling fulfilled, which then created more guilt um, as to why do I not feel happy? And I have some notes I shared yesterday that I was going to come on and talk about water. And this is for those who truly feel that they have greatness in them and it's being suppressed, or that they know that there is something, there's a next step, right? That there's something that is being called out to you because you have this calling. And again, I'm speaking from somebody that has gone through a dark night of the soul, and I'm asking my higher self to come through, to serve whoever is joining this live or on a replay, because I can feel I'm very intuitive, and I can feel those who I'm meant to serve and prayers on their hearts. And I'm going to talk about living in the heart, and that's going to lead me into water. I did not know this until just before, and my higher self was like, "Oh, you thought you were going to get on here and talk about water, but no, surprise." And I'm getting really good at listening. I'm getting really, really good at listening to my heart. And that is also why we are not feeling happy or fulfilled, is we are here. This is meant to be a servant of this. And so many of us, and again, if I'm speaking, I'm speaking to myself, and always check in with yourself and use your own discernment. Bless everyone that is joining this with absolute discernment, to check in with themselves and see if this applies to them, and be guided by their own presence of their higher self and Holy Spirit that flows through them, that gives them form. But when we're trying to be up here and process everything, we slowly start to crush the innocence, the precious little innocence. And I want you to think about the innocence of a child. I want you to think about the innocence of you as a little child. And that is still in you. And the happiness and fulfillment will return, I promise. If you can take up the courage to begin to listen to that sacred center and begin to resource the Holy One that sits within. And I personally have put my sword in the ground. And what I have really discovered is that is really the thing, is that, where people are so attached to how it should be, or they're feeling that divinity's timeline is flawed, or divinity's plan is flawed, and all these things shouldn't be happening in the world, and the anxiety and the fear and the, oh God, what do I have to do to be prepared, versus, whoa, shh, take a breath. And I assure you that if you offer yourself getting present with this message that I'm about to flow through, and to feel it at a cellular level, it could be, you could make the decision right now to transform your life. Right now. If it is in the will of your higher self that has brought you here to hear these words, from the great prayer that I have made to gather with my family of light that is ready to be liberated from not feeling safe in their vulnerability and in using their courage. The information warfare that we are on to keep us in a constant state of anxiety, the news, the media, bombarding us with information constantly. It's time to say, I am sovereign and I am choosing to co-create my world my way. And I am ready to surrender my free will to the will of my higher self. And for those of us that have been raised in the church and church teachings, and again, I respect and I honor your faith 100%, I do, that I have to speak what my higher self is asking me to speak. And this is meant for those that it's meant for. When we get brought up in a root belief system that we cannot save ourselves, that we have to place being saved on another. And I personally have a very deep personal relationship with Yeshua, Jesus, my homeboy, who I used to not. It wasn't until I began working in the shamanic practices that he made me an irresistible invitation. He's pretty yummy. And asked me to do things I didn't want to do. And that I have been doing in seclusion and in private and through healings and offerings and dark energy releases for energies that simply maybe got stuck and they just wanted to go back to the light with some people. And I've seen miracles unfold for people. And it's like, I can't keep denying that I am being taught by masters of light because I've surrendered to it and I'm getting really good at listening to my heart versus why all of that can't be happening because other people have a closer connection or that have been raised in, whatever teachings, blah, 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 and I had to surrender to that. And it took me a couple years to get a grasp on this much light that I was beginning to be able to access. And if you're still watching this, you're probably a light worker. You're a star seed, earth warrior, right? And there's certain nutrients that you cannot get from anywhere else other than inner communion. And you're going to feel drained and depleted and confused. And with all of this that's going on and the ascension, right, process that's happening, if you don't learn how to resource that Holy One that sits within, it's going to be a challenge. That's okay. That's okay. Everything that I'm saying is to empower you and not to ever inject fear. There's nothing to ever fear. There is no power outside of you that can end your life, that can enslave you. It is your higher self that has full autonomy over that. It is your Christ light, your Buddhic light. You have the exact same immaculate qualities as he did. And with that kind of power for people who want control, what they came in and did that somehow I'm ending up a messenger. Because if I don't, they don't leave me alone, right? My beings of light friends, they're like, no, it's time to liberate this ridiculousness that people don't have the same sovereign Christ light that he did. And he even said, right, even greater works than what I did is going to be done. It's time to stop placing us being saved on that beautiful man. Because you're already saved. You were already saved. Okay, I wasn't even going to talk about this. I was talking about something else. um, you're already saved. There's nothing that could ever separate you from your divinity. Nothing. And we have these viral beliefs flowing in so many places that then place a terrorizing belief over people that they do not have the power to directly resource divinity and to mold their reality as a sovereign daughter and son of the Most High. He is your brother, meaning you have his same qualities. And as he walked willingly to the cross to demonstrate the power of a light body technology that you have access to. Now you can choose to activate it. I know activating mine has been one of the most gnarliest rides I've ever been on, but once you say yes, there's no turning back because you feel how blissful. It's like literally once you taste that light body, it's orgasmic bliss. There ain't nothing that's going to make you happier than that, baby. I'm telling you, it is just like holy, holy, holy. It's a mana. It's the stardust. It's literally, it flows. Your crown opens, and the divine mother nutrients and that masculine light flow through you and in you, and you're grounded in this mother earth, and it's this tantric communion that you begin to feel, and it's like, I gotta have that light body. Whew, ain't nothing gonna satisfy me like that. Yes, I'm open. I don't know where I'm gonna learn, but I'm open. I'm open to it, right? And then you'll notice where things begin to show up in your life that teach you how to initiate yourself, how to ordain yourself. You find the mentors that really are all about sovereignty, that honor all walks of faith, and all different paths that maybe be able to lead us to the same thing versus this idea of separating, well, only those who believe this are going to heaven, only those who believe this, or, well, you see this, it's separation, separation, separation. And that's what we're witnessing, is that we're ready to heal from that. And again, my intention is never to not see anyone's faith as so sacred and so holy, for them. And if what I am saying does not bring you closer to a direct connection and divine knowing, just turn me off, because that's only my only prayer, is to, again, live in right relations with all that is, and have integrity, and to allow myself to birth what's flowing, what's asking to come through me. And in this area, I have to. Disease would fall upon me if I suppressed this type of energy that I'm pulling through. I ain't going down there. I ain't suppressing this. Let me just tell you. I've tried. I've tried. And that's why I wasn't happy and fulfilled, even though from the outsider eye, it looked like all the material things as far as like what success could be, that you should be happy, you should be, I wasn't listening to my heart. I wasn't listening to a calling that then came upon me, right? And so when you begin to live in your heart, your mind becomes empty. And you begin to have this personal relationship with your own Christ light. And if you choose, you begin to invite masters of light in to mentor you. And that is why I'm so in love with the Sophia Code cosmology. I'm not, preaching on behalf of that cosmology, but that is one that I definitely am involved in, and that I use as a medicine for myself. As someone who has been in shamanic practices of the native traditions and medicines, these medicines, you literally essentially die and you cross over. You see that it's all an illusion, that love is all there is. You don't have to beg and plead for anything because you're already whole. You have the sovereign free will choice on where you want to go and create anything anything, not what we've already seen. What we've already seen, that's past, that's done. We're here for the co-creations of the new. You realize that this and what's real completely. And so you begin to then have this ability to say, hey, I'm going to play with form more. And you start to mold this reality on things that, again, an outsider could look at and think, wow, that's miraculous. Yeah, I guess it is. Miracles, but miracles are so ordinary when you begin to work with masters of light. These shamanic healings that I have been blessed to be a part of, people's journeys and witness miracles, is not some extraordinary thing. It's a very ordinary thing when you step into that practice and you start calling upon your heart. Okay, so I guess I'm going to talk about water now. Oh, these little jokesters. I'm just saying yes to what my soul's asking me. And you got it. That's why it's like the power of learning how to meditate, to clear your mind, the power of sound, all those things to make this that empty space. And then it's like when there's no judgment within, there can be no judgment without, right? And you have the power. You have the power to co-create directly with divinity. Anything that is within the will of divine love. You will have resources and assistance like you cannot imagine once you allow yourself to get in alignment with that. It'll blow your hair back, really. I'm not gonna say it's gonna not be a wild dragon ride going through it, though. Lord only knows. But I wanted to share this with you guys about how, like, using conscious beings to call upon, which I've really learned in shamanic practices and working with ancient Egyptian teachings of the Hathors. So if you're not fulfilled in work, you're denying yourself your calling. Work should feel wildly alive. Like when I am allowing myself to do what it is that my heart is asking, I can't get enough of it. Can't get enough of it. And when I'm not allowing myself to do that, I am depressed. And my friends, there's no more time for that. There's no more time for that. If you are not doing something you love, now I'm not saying go out and quit your job tomorrow, but I'm just saying you must get in alignment with what makes you feel wildly alive. And I'm going to read this from the Hathors. The work that you engage in is a way for you to manifest your love. Work is love made manifest. To manifest your love, your awareness, your consciousness, and your mastery, it will reflect back to you your personal expression and the places in yourself that are not clear, the places in yourself where you are muddied and chaotic. So if you find yourself unfulfilled by your work, unfulfilled by the way in which you are engaging the world through expressing your creativity and love, then we suggest that you look to those places in yourself where you are unclear about your intentions in this realm. Y'all know, right? Like, this is just a realm, the 3D realm. There's like so many other realms that are like super yummy and like move way faster. The problem is not with work. Work's not your problem. I hate work, No, not the problem. The problem is how one engages or resists engaging the world through the energy usage called work or service. That's one of the bases of like really having fulfillment and happiness in your life. And yes, of course, health. And, I've talked a ton about that. And I'm going to start doing way more things for people that are like activating their light bodies in terms of nutrition and how to resource that Stardust mana, how to get in touch with communities that are really great with like that. But I want to talk about the elements, especially anybody that's really feels that they're a light worker, an earth warrior, a star seed. This is this is critical for you to feel balanced versus feeling like you're going crazy. The fourth and final base point, and there's four: relationships and your physical health are those other ones. And so you have your physical health, your relationships to the elements, and then your relationship to your service to the world. Those are your four base points that you really, when you're talking about, am I not happy? Am I not fulfilled? Am I just going through the motions? Those are the things that you must evaluate, because you can save yourself and empower yourself today. You do not have to put being saved off on another in order to reclaim your sovereignty and your power, and then resource the incredible man of Jesus that is living. I am not, everybody talking about they're waiting for him to come out. I ain't waiting, he's here, right now. He's the one pushing me to do this. So the fourth and final base point of the pyramid is your conscious relationship to the elements. The four sacred elements that make up the elements in terms of our earth are the earth, the dirt, the minerals, right? So earth, fire, the sun, the lightning, water, and air and space. We are speaking here the elements as you understand them in chemistry. These sacred elements are actually great conscious beings, which may be a new understanding for some people. And I promise you, if you begin to develop a relationship with the elements, because we're so disconnected from our mother, right? Because people aren't gardening anymore, like the food, we're so disconnected. So people are feeling so off balance. And it's like, why am I not getting back into alignment? Why am I not feeling happy? The busyness and the chaoticness. We have to come back to the elements. When you are here on this planet, it's a requirement. The element of air that moves around you and through your body is conscious. Let's take a breath on that. The air that you breathe, the space that you move through, is a conscious being. Think about that. What if you really started to feel air as a conscious being? The earth element that supports you and composes your body is conscious. The water element on earth, the waters that move through the sky in the form of clouds and rain, are the waters that are conscious. The waters of your body are conscious. They are listening. They are listening to every word we speak. You have the power of the spoken word to manifest any reality that you choose. Begin to understand that the elements all around you are conscious and want to work with you. You have the free will to call upon them. This is that shamanic Native American principle that is ancient, back into the Egyptian times and always, and what Jesus did. He worked with the elements. The fire element is conscious as well. What has happened on this plane of existence is truly a miracle. For these four beings, these vast beings of earth, of fire, of water, and air and space have joined together to allow you to have a physical bodily form. It is a gift given so freely so that you may have the benefit of experiencing a denser world than from where you come. Without these conscious beings, work and mutual cooperation under the creative desire for your existence here, there would be no evolution possible on this three-dimensional plane. In fact, there wouldn't be a physical plane at all. These elements are living and beating. Developing a sacred relationship with these elements will transform your life. Forming a relationship of gratitude towards these beings begins to create a more cosmic and universal understanding within you. Seek the kingdom within, my friends. And when you possess this understanding, You do not abuse the world you live in. Also, we're speaking to the body. You don't abuse your body, filling it with junk, drinking, checking out. For you recognize the sacredness of these beings that allow your world to exist. It is out of their compassion, their love, and their service that you are able to evolve. For they, like all beings, have the four-based pyramid of balance in themselves. Right? We talked about those four balances. Their work and their service is to provide a continuity of existence in this realm so that the elements are balanced and the physical world continues. That is their work, their service, their devotion, and their dedication. They evolve through this service to you and to all other kingdoms in this realm in this 3D dimension. Humans are generally disconnected from this ancient understanding of the sacredness of these elements and the sacredness of Earth. Your indigenous people are the ones who still hold this knowledge in their tribal understanding, but is for the most part, the modern technology-oriented human has been so separated from this truth. And as a result, many people are searching for a sense of peace and happiness. But they are agitated because they cannot find a place to be in this world. Modern humans have become technology-oriented and continue to create new technologies, ever hoping that these advances will make them more happy. Water is a conscious being. Majority of your body is water. And I want to read something to you out of your body's many cries for water. I hope you bless your water. I hope you speak words into this conscious being of healing, and you use the exact same ability that Jesus, right? Oh, Jesus, I call him sometimes. Yeshua, Jesus, has. And you use your tongue to bless your water. It will take on the crystalline forms of the words you speak because your words have feelings behind them that you associate to. And that is a resonance that can bless this water and heal your body in miraculous ways. Miracles are not left up to some select few that has been programmed to separate humanity from its divinity and its power and its sovereignty. And that is why we just witnessed such a global attempt, because it is the consciousness that has been seeded in so many that we are not sovereign and free, and that we must place others above us for our own salvation. And that is a lie. When you allow your body to get dehydrated, now, say you're not going to take it next level and bless your water, but when you allow your body to get dehydrated, it goes under the influence of being in fight or flight. It's a stressor. And it's going to pump up cortisone in you. And under the influence of cortisone, the body continues to feed off of itself. And this effect of cortisone is designed to provide emergency materials for the production of the most essential primary proteins and neurotransmitters to get the body over the hump. It is not designed for the continued breakdown of materials employed in the maintenance of structural integrity of the body. It is this phenomena that produces the damage associated with stress if the stressor maintains its unabated influence. If you allow yourself to be in a constant state of dehydration, you are in a constant state of stress. This stress, this chaos, this cannot come into balance. And so, since our mind is constantly fight or flight and these neurotransmitters versus being able to silence all that. And what? Drop in here where the Holy One sits within and where you can begin to listen to the only person that can ultimately guide you. There's a great video There's a great video from Dr. Emoto. You have spiritual divine genome. It's your light body. And it's time to get clear and present to that for those who are ready to pick up the mantle of their sovereignty and to not play anymore to victimhood and to not be worried at all about these little agendas that ain't a thing, ain't nothing but a thing for us to play in. When you understand how to harness that mana, and breath is one of your greatest medicines too, and you talk about shamanic forms of healing, we use breath often without any other sacred ancient medicines. But this whole thing that I just witnessed over the last couple years, that we all witnessed together, I'm ready for it next time, baby. And all I can do is life. And sometimes, like, when you start to really get in your sovereignty, you might almost feel what's the word, like apathetic almost, or like that you don't really care. And it's not that, but you know everybody else has the same connection to their sovereignty, and that everyone's choosing. Pain can be one of the greatest things that ever happens to us if we choose. Suffering is a choice. And it's all suffering comes from this idea that divinity's timeline and plan is flawed, and that nothing should be happening that's happening. Everyone has a direct connection to their divine source. And like the other day when I made that video about, you know, kind of like the insanity that we're seeing of like people, you know, with prepubescent children and like wanting to talk about like cutting off their sacred parts for procreation and da-da. Even if that happened, and that child still has access to their higher self. Now, are we stewards? Yes. Are, you know, we stewards of earth? And absolutely. And our children and our animals? Yes. When you really start to like honoring ancient indigenous and those practices, and you come back into those, because those were in such communion with daily life and with nourishing and with the elements, and technology can be a sacred thing, like too, right? Like it's a form of consciousness, like how you can think about somebody and they call you how you want to. So technology is made after us, right? But it's just I refuse to sit and just say, okay, well, somebody else is gonna, you know, do what I have my little masters of light to include Yeshua and some others that I sit in a lot of communion. And I also there's the principle that we have stripped the Divine Mother from divinity as well too, from the patriarchal rule in the church, and also here to reclaim that sword in the ground. Up, and when you start getting so honest and increasing your own psychic centers, and I'm not, you know, psychic like looking in a crystal ball, I'm talking like direct ass knowings. When you have a direct knowing and you begin to listen to your gut, it navigates you, man. You're in the right place at the right time. Things are just not always working out for you. Things are happening, you know, and it's like you begin to pick up on it. It's like, ask yourself, I really want you to ask yourself, do you think that the principles, and this is also why I think we're seeing like a lot of identity stuff, you know, too, which is all for us to, anybody that's going through anything, they're in the perfect place at the perfect time. There's nothing for us to even judge, right? Judge not, lest to be judged. When I'm pointing at myself right now, because I can see myself again now. So, like I said, preach to myself. But when we can really trust that there is a divine plan to it all, and that right now what we're witnessing is because it got so off balance for a little while, and it's coming back into balance. It's exciting. Light workers, earth warriors, Like, there's nothing to be upset about. Like, the crazier it gets, the more excited I am. Because I'm like, it's go time. Put on that cloak, put on that spiritual armor. But you have to, again, get honest with yourself and asking those questions. And if you're someone and you're fully fulfilled and you're happy, which you're probably not still watching this, if like you're not a starseed light worker, earth warrior at this point, the consciousness wouldn't be able to take it in. Their consciousness is like, ugh, right? When you begin to speak truth, that is the enemy of lies. And the consciousness has to turn it off for self-preservation, which is not a problem either, right? Like, not a problem at all. But like when you begin to open those psychic centers up, because you're getting in so intuitive in your heart, and so this is all an empty space to really hear the collective consciousness and resource the divine mother, resource the divine father, and you realize that it's all coming back into balance, and we're bringing back those divine principles, the divine feminine, which is that inside, versus that constant force outside trying to make things happen, versus allowing, right? And sitting in inner communion to resource your own divinity before doing anything. That's me. I haven't resourced that Holy One within. Whew. And I can tell you the feeling of feeling alive, feeling fulfilled, feeling on purpose, feeling a feeling of success. Feel and success in terms of, no, I'm not talking monetary, but like the monetary, there too, but it's like that feeling of I'm expanding, and that's the only type of success that I know that brings me fulfillment. I'm certain of it. So I don't even really know what I just allowed to flow through me, for the love of Christ. I do love Christ. That's the only thing that has me sitting here right now. Lord knows. I love myself, and I love myself enough to continue to resource my own Christ light and to show up to this new thing that's coming through me. Curious how this sounds on. I have like a lot of technology and stuff that I'm working with, but all my love and light. Namaste. Dog snoring. It's precious.